Cross Politic begins in 3, 2, 1.
I've a heart that breaks for a dying city.
Stop cursing your future.
Is not true.
For all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
No government, no political system has ultimate supremacy. Jesus is King of Kings, and it's about time our nation returned in humble submission to his lordship.
You are not protecting women. You are authorizing the destruction of 500,000 little women every year.
But I didn't start it. But sir, with all due respect, that's the argument of a 5-year-old. I didn't start it.
Right, when the Spirit comes upon people, they go to war, they go to battle, and the enemies of God are driven back and they're slaughtered.
You are listening to Cross Politic with Gabe Wrench, the Water Boy, Pastor Toby Sumter, and the Chocolate Knox.
Hello, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politic, coming off our live show last Friday night.
Oh, there was a live show?
There was. You were there.
I was?
Yes.
I'm a little. Yeah. Give me a second. I'm a little under the weather.
Nate wasn't there.
I was not there.
Yeah.
Hey, and
I avoid all live shows.
We do have a guest in the studio, my buddy Nate Wilson. Thank you for joining us.
Indy.
Aloha. Thank you all.
Mr. Indy.
What's your stage name?
Indy.
Indy.
Which is short for Indiana Jones.
Yes, it is. I tell
that
children.
Doesn't even make sense.
I tell children that it stands for Neville DuPont because they wanted to stand for something interesting, but it doesn't.
Yeah, no,
just take all that away from them, huh?
Just two very American names.
Yes. Nathan David, not thrilling.
So for those who don't know who Indy Wilson is, he's an author, writer, speaker,
movie maker.
And first of all, shame on you.
Maker,
if you
filmmaker.
don't know, shame on you.
I know.
Thanks.
Yeah, what hole have you been hiding in?
Yeah, really. You don't read books, do you? You hate words, don't you? I knew it.
Y2K is over, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lee Pike Ridge.
Yep.
Well, that was your first one, right?
It was the very first one.
I didn't know that.
In 2007.
Right.
And then 100 Cupboards came out also at the very end of 2007.
Okay.
My favorite release day of all time, December 26th.
Oh my gosh.
No, the worst.
Right after Christmas. Did you stay up all night after Christmas?
All our money.
Yes.
We're broke.
Yeah, so they came out December 26th, 2007, and here we are in 2017. So it's been 10 years.
And these books are like in a bunch of languages.
They are. A couple dozen, 24 to 30.
That is crazy.
It is.
That's so awesome. So you get letters. You get a lot of like fan mail. From
I do.
Other countries?
I get weird letters. My favorite ever, I think, came from New Zealand.
Yeah,
where it was a bunch of kids in front of a little one-room Maori schoolhouse, all carved with columns, and it was the whole school gathered in front of this little, basically a hut.
Wow.
You know, sending me a letter about 100 Cupboards, and it's just weird how far Western media can reach.
That's cool.
That's really crazy. And but
we'll get into more later.
We're going to talk more.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll get into more later.
Slow down.
Before we get to Nate or to ND, we're going to do a little cross-politic news. As you guys know, this last week I got a clip here to play for you. But DACA got rescinded by Trump. Hang on.
I'm here today to announce that the program known as DACA that was effectuated under the Obama administration is being rescinded. The DACA program was implemented in 2012 and essentially provided a legal status for recipients for a renewable 2-year term, work authorization, and other benefits, including participation in the Social Security program to 800,000 mostly adult illegal aliens.
Wait, is effectuated a real word?
I was just going to ask that question. Nate, you're a writer.
We have a wordsmithy among us.
Language is organic. Words are created all the time.
I like it. That's me. That's me. I like it.
That's my kind of term right there.
You guys can't.
Effectuated.
Yeah, that's in the George W. School of misunderestimated. They misunderestimated.
I've been on the job 24/7. That's 24 days a week, 7 months a year.
I guess he's from Texas too, huh?
Is that Jeff Sessions who's talking?
Yeah, that's Jeff Sessions.
So he's the Attorney General.
He's the Attorney General, and for those who don't know, DACA stands for Deferred Action of Childhood Arrivals. So what happened was you had this, we've had a number of immigrants coming over, not legally, and then their kids grow up here. They aren't even born here. This isn't even talking about the natural born issue.
Okay.
This is just talking about immigrants who come over, who have young children, and then they grow up in our public school system and in our...
Under the age of 30.
Under the age of... Is it under the age of 30?
Under the age of 30.
Yeah.
No, DACA's not a law, right?
No, so that's what Trump is actually forcing. Is he's forcing Congress to actually enact a law around this. So Obama put together just his pen and paper,
sort of an executive order,
and that's why Jeff Sessions said effectuated. He said it wasn't law, but that's kind of what he was trying to get at. It wasn't law or any of that. It was effectuated,
and so Trump is repealing it or is just canceling it.
Well, I don't even know what Trump's doing.
No, he just
he's trying to create some sort of law around it.
He just rescinded the executive decision.
De-effectuating it.
Basically, what you have is an executive branch that said under the last term, we're not going to execute the law on this.
I see.
On this thing, and we're going to give them social security benefits.
Yep.
And the current executive branch is saying, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore.
Right.
So,
and if Congress wants to do something about it, they can.
Think about like a sheriff says like, hey, we're not going to arrest anybody smoking weed in public in the county anymore. We're just not going to do that. It's still illegal.
Right.
And you even heard Sessions use the word illegal in there. It's still illegal, but we're not going to enforce it. The next sheriff shows up and says, hey, we're going to arrest people smoking pot in public now.
Right.
Freak out. Total freak out. Like the law changed when it didn't.
Right. But the point is that this is actually illegal. Right. The what benefits for illegal immigrants? Is that the
under the age of 30?
Trump signing the executive order, there's no law basis for what he did. Or excuse me, Obama.
Right.
Not Trump. Obama. There's no basis for what he did. So it's just a piece of paper that people started to follow when there was no legal authority for them to follow in the first place.
So what do you think, Gabe?
Well, I think here's actually where I want to go with this.
Its primary cause is ending as many lives as they can as early as possible, but
talking about Planned Parenthood here.
Even they've weighed in on DACA because every left-wing organization must profess the same views on everything. President Cecile Richards of Planned Parenthood explained why in a statement. She said, we're quoting now, here at Planned Parenthood, we firmly believe that every person has the right to live. Apparently the batteries in Planned Parenthood's irony detectors failed.
Irony detector failed.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! That just
where do you even go with this? Yeah. So, well, first off, we have
there's a ballsiness to that. I gotta say,
right,
or a blindness. There's just a
no. I think they know.
Do you think they know?
They absolutely know. I think they just troll the right wing hard.
I just don't want to believe somebody can be that stupid.
Well, I think they're
or that evil. We're talking about that evil.
Yeah, that evil.
I can believe that they can be that evil
because if they do know,
they can push it right in our faces.
If Trump knows how to troll the left, and even the center, which he absolutely does, he's probably the most gifted troll, of the social media era.
Is that a spiritual gift?
Number 2, silver medal goes to Planned Parenthood. They know how to troll hardcore. They absolutely do it intentionally.
They know exactly what to get Tucker Carlson to quote him on.
Yep, and troll is a good word for it.
Yeah, right.
I feel like their trolling doesn't work, though. Does it work?
Are we sitting here talking about them?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, not to the point where it's like, okay, there's some validity to it. At least Trump has some validity to it. You know what I mean? He has a position that I can see how he can get there every now and then. But
Trump will throw out like just completely baseless factual claims on Twitter at 2 a.m. and just send the entire left
and knows that he's running the next news cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he sends them all scurrying after it. Yeah. And on the flip side, Planned Parenthood knows how to yell boo at the right wing too, and they need an angry right wing in order to fundraise.
That's true.
So they need, people pushing against them. They need people attacking them.
Now I don't feel so good talking about them.
At least on this one, I think Nate's absolutely right. I mean, I think that's
a troll move from them.
That seems like so right. Yeah, right in your face.
They know they're killing babies. They know they don't think what they just said about everybody has the right to life. They know that. And they just throw it out there so that we all say, hey,
Look at how stupid they sound.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks. But I think we should still do it because they still sound stupid.
Yeah,
we should. It's like,
okay, then in that case, I'm back in.
We should laugh. We should make fun of them. We should mock them.
Yeah.
We should say this is evil. But at the same, but we don't want to play. We don't have to play into the get all screechy and how dare you?
Right.
When it comes to DACA, I've been listening to. A lot of people don't even know what's going on with that.
Right.
I keep on hearing deportation, but it doesn't seem like what's going on. It seems like there's a setup there.
Yeah.
And exactly. There's a setup there. Now, what's interesting about DACA was that you had to sign up for the whole ordeal, right? Like if you were a legal immigrant
to get Social Security,
you had to sign up, which a lot of them did. So guess what? We all know who you are now.
We know their names.
We know your names. We know, it feels like a Hitler move, doesn't it? Like
it's weird. Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah. So now we know who you are. We know where you're at, and we're giving you money
so that you can get benefits when you're 65.
Yeah,
if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all it was is for Social Security?
No, and
There's
absence of deportation. There's other stuff too.
Okay.
There's some other benefits.
Thing.
Okay.
But also they got a Social Security number so they could go get a job.
Right.
Oh,
right.
I see. Yeah.
Right. So there's some job legal
some
benefits.
Fringe benefits that come with having a Social
They
Security number.
received a national identification number
without being
considered a citizen. Yeah. How does that work?
Interesting.
By fiat.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Would you Nate? Would you deport them if now that you know who they are, where they're at?
I think the whole system is so messed up,
Yep.
so profoundly messed up that I wouldn't just deport people who've been here a long time. I think you have to start by closing off like the current channels that are being used.
So a fresh start.
Yeah, just start over and then figure it out. But if you're hemorrhaging, don't worry about the blood on the floor. Like worry about the actual gut wound right now. So
stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
So you're totally for a wall.
Actually, no. I am for actual effective border security, and I don't know that a wall would be that.
Yeah.
Walls seem pretty simple.
It's not helping right now.
No, we do have a wall in places where it's not working. So, it's like a wall, whatever.
But what if it has solar panels on it?
Then I'm for it. If there's a windmill,
that was one of Obama's.
If there's
Trump's,
a windmill on every post,
solar power,
and the spinning blades would also be great security.
Yeah, that could work.
Efficient too.
That could work. Yeah.
So, what would be a good form of active border security? Like, would you just implement more people at the borders, or would you just
try to let Indy help? I
know what you say, Gabe.
What would I say?
I know.
Texas Rangers.
See, that's
what Gabe's gonna say.
If we
you get Chuck Norris.
No, not working for us, Gabe.
Cowboys.
Well, I think a lot of our border issues could be eliminated if we just got rid of a lot of the our social programs, because we're incentivizing the wrong kind of immigration over to the U.S. It wouldn't stop it all, but that's a big part of our problem. Is a lot of the immigrants come over and then they get on our social service programs. They're incentivized.
Yeah, I think people still come over regardless of the social program.
I think they would.
I know a lot. I mean, when we were in
Toby isn't
South,
illegal.
Actually, yeah, I'm
he's from Alaska.
I'm actually Mexican.
I knew it.
You self-identified?
No, yeah. I feel deep inside my soul that really.
¿Cómo está, amigo?
No, but
so racist, Gabe.
But there's a lot.
Ándale, arriba. Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Oh man.
All right.
Save us, Toby.
David, I will talk with you about this.
Okay.
No, but lots of people come over illegally and they also work hard.
Of course.
There are lots of people come over because they can get jobs, they can work hard, and they know that they can keep their money. And
it doesn't get taxed.
Right. I mean, like so there's both sides of it. So I think you're right on the one hand, like we do need to turn the faucet off and I mean, we shouldn't be giving the kinds of, welfare to our own people that we're doing.
Yeah.
That's already a problem, but but we do have a lot of people coming in who just want to work hard and make a life for themselves.
I can say, I think that if you're talking about people who are risking life and limb to pay coyotes and smuggle themselves in and have to live off the grid, that MO does not go hand in hand with laziness. People want to think it does. Like, that's a huge amount of effort.
Right.
It's like on foot, however they're doing it, trying to get into the country
and they're
to
running,
work at
they're running
jobs.
They're running from something.
Yeah, they are. And they're also, when they're here, are fairly defenseless. They're at the mercy of, employers, and they don't have much recourse. So they're not, I don't think we're dealing with a lazy population. I think we're dealing with a very committed, devoted population. And, something Jeb said in the election and got mocked for, but just about basically, if I were in their shoes, I would be doing the same thing. I'd be trying to get into this country.
Who wouldn't? I mean, honestly.
Like, if you were right there and it sucked that badly and the economy and the cartels are really making your life hell,
right?
Would you try to make your way up to Colorado?
Shoot, the way America's going right now, I'm trying to figure out where do I escape to. Like, if we have to get out this joint.
but it's still not that bad. I mean it's
not yet.
Just so you know, there's nowhere else.
I know.
You can fuss as much as you want, but it's the best place in the world.
Yeah. So
the way things are going, but seriously, like I would totally be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not a question.
The social programs, sure, we should fix those. Just I think philosophically, theologically, constitutionally, they need to be fixed. That would not turn off the tap of illegal immigration, because what they're doing is they're coming here for jobs and money that they can send home and support families. So, and it's also, yes, it's a cash, usually under the table, cash, untaxed income.
Right.
If you do get a social security number, it becomes taxed. So that, back to the DACA thing, now your income's actually being taxed.
Now you're paying into the pot.
Yeah, you're paying into the system. So I think it's more complicated than that. And I think Americans are lazy because we're the rich trust fund kids. And so
there is a bunch of, there's a bunch of weird, prideful nationalism, racist stuff. I mean, we pull that kind of card and it gets overused in a lot of places, playing identity politics. But I think there is a kind of a rich kid syndrome of, I'm here and I deserve,
we don't want them taking our jobs.
We don't want them taking our jobs,
even though they want to go work in the field anyways.
They'll work harder and they'll do a better job. But I want to have freebies and free handouts, easy handouts, and I'm threatened by the fact that they're hard workers, and that's something that has to get.
Side note: AI is coming, and some of the first developments are field working robots.
Yeah,
so pickers and so on, and that would be one of the first things to happen. It'd be the replacement of illegal immigrants in our necessary economy. Like, we currently need them.
Sure.
We use them. We pretend like we don't, but we're incentivizing them all to come with cash, and we want strawberries and tomatoes and grapes and apples and everything else.
Right.
So we want them here, and then we say we don't, and we resent them. So I think we're the petulant ones.
Yeah.
But
they support our organic economy.
But even with artificial intelligence, even with, the robots coming, I mean, that every step of every time we've made a technological advance, there have been numerous other jobs that have come along with those advances. So I don't think it's going to be an easy, just sort of like, so now they do all our jobs, and now there's a bunch of people that don't have anything to do.
Now there's a bunch of robot maintenance jobs.
Exactly. Those are a bunch of maintenance jobs. And, so I think we have to recognize that happens. And I don't think this is the way God made the world, that technological advance doesn't displace people.
No.
Exactly.
Technological advance, it changes the kinds of work that we have to do, but it doesn't just displace people.
There's been economic studies that have shown innovation creates far more jobs than they might eliminate initially.
Sure, but I will just disagree with that just for fun and say that it absolutely does displace people. It doesn't displace humanity. It displaces very particular people,
in particular places,
particular moments, who have one skill set and they're not about to go back and retrain.
That's true. But the world, the way that God made the world, there's not it's not a pie in which you get a bunch of robots, and they get half the pie, and now that means humanity is therefore it's less of the pie.
Yeah.
The world is created with the kind of resources and treasures such that even as we learn how to harness certain ones of them better, there's going to be new opportunities. But it's going to take ingenuity and creativity, and they're willing to work hard. And if you're not willing to do that, then you might get stuck.
Yeah.
Nate Wilson in studio with us, causing a havoc.
As I do.
As he does. When we come back, to Matt Walsh or to not Matt Walsh? More with Nate Wilson next on Cross Politics.
For 21 years and counting, New St. Andrews College has sought to obey Christ's Great Commission to disciple nations and build him a house, not just in Jerusalem, but throughout the world. Not with stones and mortar, but with living stones. We build and fight. This is the task of a Christian liberal arts college, to equip students with the tools to build and fight. And this is our joyful task as we seek to graduate leaders who shape culture through wise and victorious living. To learn more, check us out online at nsa.edu/explore.
Canon Press is a publishing house located in Moscow, Idaho. At Canon Press, we create and provide products that sketch a vision of the whole life, a whole culture, a life full of beauty, tradition, education, community, laughter, and celebration. unashamed of Christ, and sharply at odds with the values of modernity. A mature culture with the church at the center, living out the good life, one family at a time. We believe our book, audio, and visual selections reflect this exciting life that God has given us under the sun. As the wisest man said, go eat your bread with joy and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already accepted your works. CanonPress.com. Welcome back, y'all, to Cross Politic. We got Indy Wilson, in the studio with us today. This segment is brought to you by H2O.
Because we got fires all around us.
Because it's smoky out there.
Yes.
It's smoky out there. We're out at Gabe's home studio.
Sure.
With,
that sounds cool.
Home studio.
That sounds really cool.
With Indy Wilson in the house. And
I feel real chill right now. And I'm not even drinking. We're
effimication out here.
What?
We're effimicating out here or whatever.
Effectuating?
Effectuating. There we go.
You're looking for effectuation.
Yeah, you scared me just now.
Gabriel.
Oh.
This is a family show, Gabe.
That was bad enough. I go, Gabrielle.
Love.
Both y'all only hear out of one ear.
That is true.
Do you know that?
The difference is I'm like Lady Gaga. I was born this way.
Okay.
Whereas I was handcrafted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What? I wasn't handcrafted? Psalm 139? What?
In the womb like
yes.
I was presuppositionally handcrafted.
I was whittled.
Which ear is it for you? It's the left ear. Right
my
ear.
Left ear is dead.
Yours is
my right ear is dead.
Right ear. So okay.
What I want to know, Gabe, is does your right ear scream at you?
No.
You have no false noise?
No,
I just have a constant fire alarm in my left ear.
Really?
So it's not really deaf. It doesn't think it is. It's constantly inputting the panic signal.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Wrong. I know.
Shut up.
So you actually hear something.
Oh yeah.
But it's nothing
white
clear.
noise.
So have you ever heard of tinnitus? Like it's just any kind of ringing in your ear.
Okay, ringing.
But that's it's like that, but on steroids.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Ouch.
I'm practicing going Zen all the time.
Right.
Like
so that's why you're so chilled out. Okay.
Just you gotta like relax and not worry about the fire alarm in your left ear.
And how did you go deaf in that ear?
Oh, at the hands of a surgeon named Dr. Friedman in L.A.
Friedman?
Yeah, Dr. Friedman down in L.A. And he
'cause you had a tumor.
Sliced my acoustic nerve with a blade or a laser. That's how I went deaf in that ear.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually don't know if it was steel or light that did it. But yeah, I had a rare tumor in my acoustic canal the size of an egg that was going to eventually kill me. It was killing me softly.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they went in there and said,
Fuji's.
Mm-hmm. But even before the Fuji's.
Oh, you're going farther back.
I'm going pre-Fuji's with that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was in there and it actually started, it showed up as the screaming in my ear.
Okay. So that's what first started.
That was the first trigger. My actual hearing turned off and the screaming started. And so then
that was like a year ago or
that was close. So that was November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's when that first happened. And then I'm 4 months post-op now. So
yeah.
You're still figuring this out a little bit then, huh?
Yeah. They tell me it's a full year before you know what you're going to be.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
See, my story was very similar to Nate's, but not really. I was
in that it's related to his ear.
Does it have something to do with Texas?
I was no, but I mean I was born in Texas.
Didn't notice.
I was born with a deaf ear, but I didn't find out till I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I mean this could maybe indicate that I might have been like retarded a little bit when I was younger.
Only when he was younger.
Only when I was younger. It went away.
It wore off around 10 or 11.
Don't do that. The jokes are coming. Don't do it.
It went away. I literally, there was, I had no clue that I was deaf in this ear. I remember answering the phone with my bad ear. Like picked up the phone
and nobody's there.
Nobody's there, and I'm sitting there, hello, and I'm like, all right, can't hear you, hang up.
Click.
Bad connection. It's one of those bad landline connections back in the day.
Oh man!
And then literally like 15 seconds later, they call back, and I don't know what had happened, but I'd switched hands. I was holding something, and I picked up with my other hand, and I answered with my good ear, and I answered just like nothing had happened, and I had no clue. It's just a bad connection, and And then finally,
which was true. It was a bad case.
It was.
We just didn't know where it was
with my ear,
right?
And so one Sunday school class, we're playing a game, and you whisper in the ear, and you whisper in the next person's ear, you whisper in the next person's ear. The teacher started with me, and she whispered in my bad ear, and I'm like, I can't hear very well in that ear today. That was my response. I was like, do this one. And then after class, she told my mom, she's like, Gabe said he couldn't hear very well in his ear, and then that's when I went to the studio, and we found out that I had an undeveloped nerve that never developed. So there you go, my deaf ear.
It's hard for me to laugh at some of this because for me, my ears are my work. So, you're talking about like you're noticing this humming happening in your ear.
Oh, it sucked.
It scares me to death to wake up and like, oh my goodness, what's happening? Because that's how I make my living is through mixing and audio and so to do something like that, it's like, Lord, what are you doing to me?
Yeah. It was not pleasant. And now I'm in mono instead of stereo, but it's it was weird because it was in a business meeting and Gabe's brother was to my left and he asked me to pray for the lunch. And all I heard was like this woo, 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 like come from over there.
Oh, wow.
And it just turned off. The ear just turned off in the middle of the meeting.
Wow. Right
and
there.
I looked at him and just the screaming started, just high pitched went in my ear. So yeah, I started trying to track that down mostly because the panic I felt was like, if I don't know what caused this, I might lose the other one.
Yeah.
Right. Now that I'm down to one.
Right.
Yeah.
So
or a leg.
I actually was weirdly on that regard. I was a little bit grateful when somebody called me and said, you have a brain tumor.
Oh,
it's like,
I thought, good.
Relief.
I get to keep my other ear, right? It's like I'm not needing to go take an ASL class right now and start learning sign language.
Right.
Yeah.
So you wrote a book a few years ago called Death by Living.
Probably when the tumor started growing.
I had it when I wrote it.
Wow.
Yeah, they said I probably had it for about 10 years, which is my entire writing career.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
really, 10 years,
8 to 10. Yeah, the size it had gotten quite large. So
wow.
Well, you got to start before Death by Living. Notes for a Tilted World, right? So
okay,
I got to start there only because Notes from a Tilted World. I was in seminary when I read that book, and it was one of the books where you go into seminary, you're getting all this knowledge, you're like, yay, I know theology, I'm on top of the world, and then all of a sudden, Notes from a Tilted World, boom, but you don't know theology, right? Like, you're not tasting this thing. Like, you're not living in this thing. And Notes for Tilted World just made me stop for a second and start biting and eating the theology that I'm reading every day and really understand how practical it really is. And sometimes in seminary, I think we lose just how tangible the God that we're studying is. And so Notes from a Tilted World kind of just smacked me in the face and said, man, you need to taste and see of the Lord. That was the first book that kind of led me to like Death by Living was kind of like the sequel to that for me. You know what I mean?
So describe Notes from a Tilted World for our listeners.
Notes from the Tilted World is a manifesto of faith, basically. And the reason why I wrote it at all was because I was being successful in the New York publishing world, and people around the country were acting like I had this skeleton in my closet called Christianity. And they were
you were hiding it in 100 cupboards.
Yes,
we know
it was. Yes. In the Cupboards trilogy and in Lee Pike Ridge, like people were sort of picking up like, wait a second,
there's a Jesus in here somewhere.
There's a chapter called Easter, and I remember getting off of a stage in New York once, and this woman came running up, just cursing at me as I was coming down the steps, and she looked like a member of the other team. Let's just put it that way. The tattoos and the dyed hair and all the piercings, and she was also slinging F-bombs at me as I was coming. My editor kind of jumped, tried to jump in between us, like, what's going on here? It turned out that she had actually written a review of Lee Pike Ridge. She was a critic, and she had given me this like great review, this soaring positive review, and then she said she woke up days later and realized I'd pulled off that C.S. Lewis beep, and she just went off. And so I told her, it's like, it wasn't a secret. The chapter was called Easter at the end. He comes out of the grave, and I wasn't trying to be sneaky,
right?
And she went off.
But you had tricked her.
Yes,
at least
it had
momentarily.
Worked. And then I was snarky at her because she had said she woke up 3 days later, and I said, "You said 3 days?"
Like Jonah?
And then a resurrection? And then she went off a little bit more. But basically, what ended up happening is Random House asked me to write a statement of faith, which is
Random
funny.
House did?
Yeah. And they said, could we we're hearing so
pleasure.
much.
Wow.
We are getting so many concerted complaints pushed from the hard left, the sexual left.
Yeah.
Is probably the best way to describe it. Do you know what this guy thinks? Do you really know? Just like, really going at Random House to drop me and be done with me and stop promoting me. And they had a form letter even being sent out by one librarian at a university that she was sending out to every critic, every reviewer, anybody who said anything good about me. She was sending out this form letter about how I abused my wife. And I mean, it was bad. Like we could have sued her, but we didn't.
Whoa.
But anyway, Random House had a statement of faith that I wrote for them, which was their auto reply. So Random House began distributing my statement of faith back out to these people saying, like, this is...
Random House is helping evangelize the world.
But it was just an answer. Like, they would say the most absurd things that I believed. Like, did you know he thinks? And they'd say, actually, this is what he thinks. And they'd send it out.
Right.
And that made me think, okay, I need to actually write my statement of faith, really.
Yeah.
Which became Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl. And that was a book I had always planned on writing. And I had planned on writing sort of in middle age. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this novel stuff. I'm chasing these novels. Then I'll write this.
God said now.
Yes. God said now. So I thought, you know what? I just need to stop running and like lean into it and yell boo. Like I'm not pretending like I'm not a Christian. I'm not trying to be sneaky.
Yeah.
So I wrote Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl. And the goal, as far as...
That's Thomas Nelson.
Yeah.
Notes
Thomas Nelson.
Yeah.
So my manifesto of faith. And the goal is just to push people to actually mean what they say.
Yeah.
To live what they say. So if you believe the world was created ex nihilo, then mean it.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean? What does that mean to how you go through your day, how wide your eyes are when you hear God speaking? I can't tell you how many times through various evangelical circles I heard people talk about how God's no longer speaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's such a joke.
Yeah.
It's like, are you still here? Then he's still talking.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like this world is held from nothing, into reality by his voice, by the power of his voice.
Yeah.
That's the miracle of creation. So I started with just ex nihilo creation, and then pushed all the way through. What does that mean to every aspect of our lives? So that gets into the gospel and everything else. I sent it in probably like 3 a.m. I sent it off to the publisher. I was writing in my bedroom. My wife just sort of woke up as I clicked send and looked at me and said, are you done? It's like, yes, I sent it off. And she said, how do you feel? And I said, I feel like I just streaked through a mega church. This is going off. And now for the first time, I'm writing in the specifically.
Sorry, the visual.
We all stopped looking at Nate.
Just like pushed in the doors and just ran through the sanctuary and just ran out the back. Like I just felt like I went right through.
Yeah.
Because it was the first time I'd actually ever stepped into the, I don't know, you could say the gospel industrial complex or into contemporary Christian publishing, anything. I hadn't done anything in the faith market,
right?
So described. So
what's the reception been?
It was banned from Lifeway.
Yeah,
Tilt-A-Whirl was.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't carry it.
What for?
Am I allowed?
It's Lifeway.
Am I allowed to cuss?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Because of the word shitstorm. I use the word shitstorm, and
that's the Show Baraka. The problem.
We interviewed Show Baraka, and he got his new album banned for saying penis.
Yeah, I know. I emailed him and told him he wasn't cool because I got banned first. And I also told him that he was banned for a completely egregious use of the word penis, where mine was an entirely justified use of the word shitstorm. but so Thomas Nelson begged me to remove the word. I wouldn't, because Lifeway said they wouldn't carry it. I had included a number of other things I knew that the publisher wouldn't like, but I had included them so that I could take them out, so that I could work with them. So I took out like 17 things, but that was the one thing I was I was not going to let go of that because I was describing a materialistic, atheistic worldview.
Yeah. Right.
Like, what is it out there? You look at the universe. If it's chaos, if it's all an accident, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to use it frivolously. It's like, especially in a Christian book in Christian bookstores. But despite that, it became very, very popular. It's had a really strong following since it was published.
And you created a CD No,
right. Yeah, there's a DVD.
Which has helped a lot.
Beautiful DVD.
And that thing has outsold the book.
Yeah.
No way.
Which is, so the DVD has gone, all sorts of places the book didn't reach. There's a lot of people, Campus Crusade bought
they bought a lot.
Thousands and thousands of them to give away to freshmen. Wow. And so that was great. But then Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl was still a very philosophical, big picture. It was personal, like mean it. But I wanted to talk about life and relationships, your place in time, where you come from, your history, and the fact that you are creating history for other people right now. And so that became Death by Living. The follow-up book was basically all that
two are
stuff.
Connected.
Yeah, they are. Where it's like one's more Google Earth, where it's like it's high level, but it zooms into very specific moments. And Death by Living is more personal.
Google Maps.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons too the DVD did so well was that is right around the era where Numa videos from Rob Bell were just starting to fall off. Like, I think he's a heretic. I think he's a bad guy.
Wait a second. Why is he always walking in place?
Yeah.
Who's holding the fan? Why is his hair blurry?
After a while, people were pretty done with him. And then Death by Living was just like a perfect, because it seems like the evangelical world is scared of stories. They're scared of anything that's not explicit exegetical teaching. And so Rob Bell had kind of opened up to the people who were somewhat artistic and said, oh, finally, we can give visuals to the things that we believe.
Finally, a Christian who doesn't mean it. As if we've been short on those. Yeah.
But we realized that.
Yeah.
I think people were a little late. Like, come on, guys. But Notes from a Tilt-A-Whirl were really kind of the beauty of text and imagery kind of combined so that people can say, oh, good, something with solid theology and it looks beautiful. So I think, of course, that's why it blew up. It was filling that gap that really, and still, a lot of people haven't filled that gap.
Yeah, there's been a number, it's in a very real way, Notes from the Tilt-A-Whirl, the book, created a little subgenre of Christian writing. When I wrote it and they tried to take it out, bookstores didn't know where to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, there have been many, there are many attempts to kind of do something similar. Some of them are great. Some of them they want to do it because they don't want to believe what I believe. I'm a very, like, straight up, the Bible is the Bible, this is the Word of God guy. And they want to do, something that's a little more,
But it's coming from the guys who say that they're very Bible. It's coming from the guys who say, we're on Bible only. But that's just too much Bible, Nate. Like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like,
people don't mean that. They say it's just like everything else. So you say the world was created from nothing by speech, but do you really actually think that and mean that in your everyday life? Do you receive the things around you as if they were spoken by God? Really? Not usually.
No.
Right.
Then you have the people who are the most anti, for example, all my other books, fantasy, anything with monsters or magic. Also are the people who are really, really anti my fantasy novels are all Bible. And it's like, do you know the first wizard duel was Moses in the court of Pharaoh?
That's right. Yeah.
Where do you think
call it a wizard duel?
Where do you think Gandalf came from? Where do you think the ideas for the old man with the big beard and the staff, the magical staff, came from? It's if you believe the Bible, you believe in fantasy.
Yeah.
Capital F.
Yeah.
When we come back, Death by Living with Nate Wilson, really want to get into this book and why we should really be reading this book. So impactful. And I want you to maybe give a shout out to my mom.
Hey, David's mom.
When we come back, though. More Nate.
Way to make David. Way to make David.
This is Cy Timbergen with Answer Anyone Apologetics. Professed unbelievers like to stump Christians with the question, can God make a rock so big that he can't lift it? Well, no. No, he can't. There are things that God cannot do. He cannot lie. He cannot change. And he can't contradict himself, to name but a few. Of course, then the professed unbeliever will say, if God can't do those things, then he isn't all-powerful. What they refuse to realize is that those things are not powers. They are weaknesses. To make a rock so big that it can't be lifted would be a logical contradiction. That would be a weakness, not a power, and is therefore something that God cannot do. Of course, they'll likely insist that in order to be omnipotent, God must be able to do the logically impossible. Then I say, okay, fine. A God who can do the logically impossible can in fact make a rock so big that he can't lift it. To which they say, aha! Then there's something that your God can't do. He can't lift that rock. And I answer, no. A God who can do the logically impossible can lift a rock he can't lift. And the absurdity of their demand is exposed. When we defend our faith, Stick to the true nature and character of God, and you can answer anyone. For more apologetic answers, visit answeranyone.com.
Welcome back to Cross Politic.
I really missed our music.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
We got Indy Wilson with us in the studio. He's about to break open a can.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, but before you do.
Okay.
So, kind of serious. My mom just, so she had cancer.
Okay.
Multiple myeloma. I can never say that right. And she's been struggling with that the last 4 years or so.
Wow.
Over. And thanks be to God, she's in remission. She had stem cell transplant. Yeah, where they kind of wash out all your old stem cells and
give you new ones,
energize them, and send them back to your body. And so that's been in remission. So praise God for that. But recently, she's just so guys, pray for my mom. She's just recently found out that she has liver cancer.
Oh man.
And when she started going through cancer, the first one, I gave her death by living. And she was really kind of concerned about what about my legacy that I'm leaving for my kids? Yeah. What about, how am I going to make sure you guys have something, I want to pass on a future to you guys. And my comment to my mom has been, Mom, sowing the word of God into my kids the way you sown into me is the best gift that I could have from you.
Yeah.
So come sow into my children with the energy that you have, the life that you have right now. Don't waste it and trying to feel like you need to give us financial things. Come give it to my children in your godly wisdom, So right now she's in a situation where they're kind of concerned that the liver cancer might really take her out.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's decided, she said, I didn't even know how to fight anymore. I was done fighting. And she's just kind of in the place right now where she doesn't know she's going to live for the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to help energize her.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help her understand just how valuable she still is. Could you help me with that? Could you help me kind of like, come on, man, you got Death by Living. You wrote a book on the whole thing.
The thing is that as far as you valuing her, that's what matters.
Yeah.
That matters a lot more than her valuing herself.
Yeah.
So if she is exhausted or fatigued, you honoring her and respecting her and praising her and loving her is the most important thing you can do.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to motivate her, there's a time for that. But what she needs in those kind of situations, when your gas tank runs down all the way and you're on empty, you don't need somebody saying, "Hey, fill that up." It's like, come on now, let's fill that up. You fill it up.
Yeah.
It's like you pour on that affection and respect and honor and gratitude, knowing that we're all here briefly.
Yeah.
All of us are. And brushes with mortality are a very, very healthy thing for all of us and for people who are standing around it too. So, you use the time wisely.
And I think one of the ways you do that too is you keep telling, when God gives life, until the very last breath, until the very last heartbeat, he's giving life.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how weak it seems, how frail and fragile it seems, he's still giving life through that life.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things that I wrestled with when my father-in-law, he had multiple myeloma. He passed away from that.
Yeah, I remember that.
2.5 years ago. And he's one of those grandpas, those granddads that's like, taking the grandsons fishing, loves the history of the land, like he had dreams of being that grandpa
right.
to my kids,
mm-hmm.
And I think he wrestled with it. We all wrestled with like, oh, the Lord's not going to give that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't because that God wasn't giving us something. He decided to give us something different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gave us the gift of watching my father-in-law walk through this with courage.
Yeah.
In his weakness. And so it wasn't a matter of us necessarily saying, trying to give him a pep talk.
Right.
But it was a matter of saying, you are still giving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he did, like all the way to the end, he was giving by just being there.
Yeah.
Even in his weakness, and ultimately that's because Christ was in him. And so Christ is giving life through him, even in a broken and a breaking body.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had like, I remember, like right at the very, very end, I was staying over at their house nights sometime just so I could give my mother-in-law a chance to sleep through the night because he couldn't sleep through the night. And so I'd stay nights sometimes and help him in the evening because he couldn't lay down very long and he just was in a lot of pain and he'd want to get up and stand. And it was this like 45, 50 minute walk down the hallway with him. It was so slow. It was hilarious. And, but man, there were several nights where like he would just say something funny and we would just die laughing at like 3 a.m. in a hallway.
Yeah.
And he, and like, we just knew like, that's God still giving life through a dying man
in that moment. Yeah.
In that moment. And he was giving something different. And that's, I think, one of the crucial things is to tell people who are going through those things, you're still giving. While God's given you life, there's still life flowing from you.
Yeah. And it's a big part of the point of Death by Living was the fact that we're all dying.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in this country, this time, we love to pretend like we're not. We love to try to hide mortality elsewhere. We quarantine death completely.
It's over there.
Yeah, we try to. So
it's in nursing
we're all
homes.
dying.
Yeah.
It's like you've been given, basically a savings account of heartbeats. There's a fixed number of heartbeats that you've been given, and we're all spending them at the same rate. Like we're all just spending through it. And we don't know how many we've been given. And then sometimes God tells people like, hey, you're running out. Sometimes we don't even know. Nobody knows.
Happens.
It's just
happens.
right.
Yeah,
And so I do think there is a specific gift. It's hard, it's brutal, but there's a specific gift to having some kind of knowledge of like, okay, we're coming to the finish line.
Yeah.
Now we know to treasure these heartbeats right now, and for the people around you to treasure them too, as opposed to it being sudden, and later. At the same time, the other thing that's hard is any kind of gratitude. It's like we can get ungrateful very, very easily.
So easily.
We are all like Powerball winners. Like, imagine winning Powerball when it was only $40 million. And then you're looking at a Powerball winner who won it when it was $400 million. And you're like, oh, you chump. Like, why did I have to win Powerball when it was only $40 million? None of us did anything to deserve to exist.
Right.
None of us did anything to deserve any of the relationships we have, to deserve any of our senses, our hands, our eyes, our tongues, any of the wine we've drunk, any of the food we've eaten. I mean, God invented flavor and taste buds and enabled that combination. It's like we are all Powerball winners, all of us.
That's right. Amen.
It's the odds of us existing are astronomically low.
And we get discontent when someone has 2 ears they can hear with.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I can be like, darn it, my left ear's gone. I still have a right ear, but I also had that left ear for a good 38 years. Unlike Gabe. So I won a little bit more Powerball than he did. Just a scooch. Yeah. But it's very easy for us to be jackpot winners, all of us jackpot winners, even if we have a really hard life.
Right.
Yeah.
We're jackpot winners. And we don't see it. We always are looking at what somebody else got.
The subtitle to your book is "Life is Meant to be Spent."
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, it's what I was just saying about heartbeats. You're given wealth. You're given life like a resource, and you cannot keep it. It's all going to be spent.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All of it. And it's just a question of how you spend it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you spend it trying not to spend it? Like, guess what?
You can't save it. Yeah.
You're still spending one heartbeat. Just it's bum, 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 bum. It's just draining.
It's like sand.
It's just going. Yeah, you get the sand's going.
Are you going to spend that heartbeat on the couch, or are you going to spend it laying your life on the court?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how are you going to spend it?
The court. The basketball court.
Absolutely.
The court of God.
Yes. Are you going to be? Yeah, exactly. So there's basically you've been given this big account,
right?
Like this big resource. The ultimate natural resource, which is to be made in the image of God, to be given really an eternal soul, like to be given the promise of resurrection, and to be given a window on this planet. Like, and you have those resources; they're all going away, all of them.
Right.
It's like saving them is not an option; they're all going away. How do you spend it? Like you've been told to spend. So if you get given that jackpot, and you're told, and also you can't keep any of it.
Right.
Like, so here's your Powerball check, and you can't keep any of it. Spend it.
Right.
That's what we're supposed to do with our lives.
And this is why this is my favorite book that you've written. My kids love all your all your literature. And I love
Hello
reading
Ninja,
it.
especially.
Hello Ninja. Yeah.
I thought that would be your favorite game.
I could read that in an hour.
It's my favorite.
It takes me an hour. But because Death by Living, I think, really changed my perspective on how I'm growing up to be a father, a businessman, a husband. Instead of growing up trying to accumulate wealth and trying to store it away, it changed my perspective. It was more about like just leaving it on the court, leaving the wealth behind, giving it to your sons, giving it to your wife, giving it to, and most people, as they grow up, they're like, man, I want to have my boat and I want to have more of this, wealth for myself. I want to be able to retire when I'm 55. I want, it's all becomes about how they can kind of over time store up for them and their own selves. And of course their family's with them. Their family gets to go along with that ride, but it's the exact opposite. It's the more you grow up, the more you give.
Yeah. So maybe make this a little more practical. So how does this vision of life differ from, like, say, living the American dream? Like,
well, if we talk about like a pure American dream, those two things are not contradictory.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're talking about trying to build something,
right.
It's like acquire land. But if I'm trying to acquire land, which I am, like, for whom am I doing that? It's like, is it for grandkids? It's like when I just was giving advice to another guy who was like, I'm not sure if I should just sell this chunk of dirt off. And I said, no grandkid has ever said, I wish grandpa didn't buy so much land. Like, ever.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if you look at it through somebody else's eyes downstream from you, instead of you right now, I could sell this land and get a boat. I could sell this land and do a little more fishing. Like, I could consume more personally. I could personally taste all of it.
Yeah.
And leave nothing for my kids or leave nothing for my grandkids, or I can continue to lay out and accumulate. So I have no problem with accumulation when it's accumulation for someone else. Like, if you're not thinking about, like, how do I hang on to this for myself? If you have a generational vision when you're doing it, that's a very different thing. So the American dream isn't really that now. That's not how it's defined now.
Maybe it used to be more like that. I don't know.
It could be. Yeah. But at the same time, I think the most important aspect of this is realizing that your final chapters, like what you think of as your final chapters, or even your middle chapters, middle life, later life, are all the earlier chapters in other people's books. Do not think do not think of yourself as the hero of your own novel. Like, think of yourself as a side character in the beginning of other people's.
Oh man.
So especially with your own kids. So right now, we all have kids. And right now, like, you're in like chapter 2, chapter 3 of their life stories.
Yeah.
Right.
And a big part of that is, what was their dad like?
Right.
Like, when you're telling the story of like any historical figure, what was their father like? What was their relationship like to their father? How did their father behave?
Right.
Like, is the essential groundwork and foundation to their life story.
Right.
In those early years. So instead of seeing ourselves as like, oh man, I'm getting towards retirement, or, oh man, how do I get more money so that I can vacation more often? Think of yourself as like, okay, I'm writing these early chapters of somebody else's story.
Yeah, that's great.
And God is terrifying, absolutely terrifying, in that he gives us immortals, like eternal souls. Here are these little people. And
you get 20 years.
Yeah. Here. And I've said in the book also, like, take the most absurd avant-garde performance artist out there and say, hey, we're going to give you a human being and control their reality and create their childhood and their life story for the first 18 years of their life. Yeah. It'd be illegal. It's like, you're not allowed to do that. And God just
does that all,
gives
every day.
Yeah.
Such high stakes gifts. He gives vast wealth, and he gives us these
ain't
people.
That the truth?
He gives us these little people who will live forever. And we have them just around us, and we're thinking instead about, what am I going to do with my Monday?
Yeah, right.
It's like, and we're trying to get ahead. So Death by Living for me was like the book is a conscious look at my own ancestors and those things that they did who made them who they were, which became very much part of my psyche as a kid,
right?
Because of how they related to me and what they prioritized and how they loved and how they lived. And then turning and looking downstream. So you look upstream at the people who came before, and then you turn and look downstream and realize
they're early chapters in your life. Yeah. And then it helps you look at your life
and how I'm going to, lay down my life and spend it. How am I going to burn my heartbeats in their early chapters?
Just to piggyback on that, that was one of the reasons too, where remember that in the book, and I remember reading, I remember thinking, there's no excuse for your history, right? Like, everyone has a history that's different. Some have better histories, and some are starting a new one. But I think a lot of times, especially for me, and I think people in my culture, there's a bitterness to our history because we don't have what we see. Like, again, he has more of the Powerball, Lord. You know, things are going better over there for them.
Why did I win the $1 million jackpot?
Exactly. No, forget it. I won $10,000 from a scratch off.
Yes. I'm going to $1 million. I'm going to $1 million, dude.
And so you're looking at it and you're like, oh, great. How's it? But there's no responsibility to say, okay, this is the foundation I'm building now. Right now, the story that I'm in now, I can change that. Like right now, I'm going to give my life for my children. Right now, I'm going to give my life to the Lord. Right now, I'm going to give my life to building a future, right? And so that helped me kind of forgive, right? Some of the things that my parents, my grandparents or whatever, that they didn't buy that land, you know, and say, okay, now where can you change that? So they can look back on and say, hey, you know what? We're going to kiss Granddaddy's picture. Listen, and I was like, love you, Granddaddy. Love what you did, you know?
The other thing is the most important lesson there when you think, man, I wish my granddad had bought land is get land.
Then buy land.
Whatever you wish that your
he still
ancestors
touches something.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also, whatever you wish your ancestors had done for you, do it. Like, whatever you wish, you better be doing for your descendants, or else you're a hypocrite. You're a total hypocrite.
That's right.
Anything you wish that people before you had done.
Yep.
If you wish your parents had behaved a certain way, or your mom or your dad had behaved a certain way, it's like you better not be. You're failing to pass on that wish.
It doesn't justify your complaining.
So, exactly. So, as far as it goes, you know, my grandfather survived World War II.
Yeah.
Lots of other people's grandfathers did not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, so, there's an amazing gift there. Yeah. I got to see him in old age as a very hard man. I mean, a very hard man soften. And eventually I got to, sit at Coeur d'Alene as a kid and watch him baptized.
Wow.
It's like, so... it's like there was all sorts of things back there to be unhappy with, but we're called to honor. So we're not supposed to honor those things that were their mistakes or the things that were dishonorable.
That's good.
But we're still supposed to honor our fathers.
Yeah. Right.
It's like we honor them and we find what we can learn from them. So and then on the other side, my dad's dad was a radical, crazy evangelist who squandered all his material resources completely and utterly. And he really did. And did that with an absolute priority on the spiritual resources, the spiritual wealth.
Right.
So to have all of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren be faithful believers right now, all of them is remarkable.
Right. Oh, man. Amen.
It's like he has not lost a grandchild.
Yeah.
Right.
Praise God.
And that's remarkable. So
that's where he invested.
Yeah. Did he sell his house in Michigan and take all the equity and buy books? Yes.
Yeah,
he did. And he put those books in a van and drove to Idaho and gave a ton of them away. Right. It's like, and that's where he was spending his heartbeat, spending his resources. So does he have a bunch of wealth? Do we have trust funds? No, he's not. Is he poor? Yes. Are we incredibly wealthy and blessed? Yes. Yeah. It's like as a result of that.
That's right.
As a result of the way he lived. So,
amen.
And on the flip side, the other. So as far as it goes, look upstream, honor those who, are your fathers, because the Bible tells you to. It's very simple. Honor them.
What are you working on now, Nate?
I'm working on a preschool animated TV show for Netflix.
Hey!
Oh, cool.
Trying to close a feature film with Lionsgate.
Okay.
Let's do it.
That's great, man.
I should say closing a feature film with Lionsgate. And trying to get a theatrical release date for a nature documentary. So those are the priorities right now. And post surgery, I feel like I haven't really worked, but I've gotten a lot done since brain surgery. But
like walking,
I stand up now.
I can stand up. I'm not dizzy too much.
I'm supposed to be doing a lot of therapy twice a day and sleeping as much as possible because apparently that's the only way a brain repairs.
Oh,
is sleep. Yeah,
really.
It's like they're like, unless you're in REM sleep, nothing's happening.
Oh,
wow.
Man.
So yeah, it's still stupid. I have to be monitored. The doctors have these this app they can log in on Wi-Fi and check everything about my sleep and whether it's happening
or not.
Yeah, so
they put a chip in your brain. They're tracking you.
I had to wear stupid gear. It's like Anyway, I'm glad to be alive. So
yeah.
I'll take it.
Stupid gear. Stupid
I'm
gear.
thankful.
But, so there's that. But it is basically what I'm working on right now is trying to get up to full speed. And they told me that after a year, what is, and what I don't get back in a year,
I'm just not gonna.
Yeah.
So you're fighting right now to get a lot back, huh?
Yeah. And my wife has been calling me on it. She's doing good work on a wifely basis.
She wants you to heal.
Yeah. But she's telling me she was telling me basically that she thought I was doing was adjusting and accommodating myself. I felt like, I'm improving. Like I feel better. I'm not falling down.
Right.
It's like, but she says, but you're doing workarounds.
Yeah.
It's like,
which is not quite the same thing as
not the same thing as healing.
Yeah.
So
that rib works pretty good, don't it?
So I actually just yesterday was in with a mean Swedish vestibular therapist who basically confirmed all my wife's suspicions. It's like
Swedes.
It's like, you're not improving. You think you are, but you're not.
Oh, man.
Well, praise God, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So pray for Nate, y'all.
That I will, in fact, actually do all the things that make me nauseous.
And you have a new book out. It's called The Door Before.
Yes, The Door Before is a prequel to 100 Cupboards, and then the Outlaws of Time trilogy.
Yeah.
So the thing that I have actually been working on, really, is that I turned in the final book of the Outlaws of Time trilogy. Woo. Final draft, final book.
Oh, man.
It's called Last of the Lost Boys. Will come out in the spring.
My son loves those books, man.
So, and Door Before, just out.
Go buy them. Buy them. Death
buy them
by
all.
Living.
So I can sleep.
Yes. Yes.
Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
Cheers.